Good morning, weirdos of the world. Once again, I find myself with stuff to talk about and absolutely zero time to actually sit my ass down and make a video. What I do have is about an hour and 15-minute drive to work ahead of me. So you're going to come along for the ride. I'm going to take a page out of Lady Gravedancer's book. I remember she used to make these really long talks on her way to work, and I loved them, so I'm going to make my own. And cross fingers that the camera doesn't run out or you can hear me. Let's go. Oh, also, sorry about my armpit. You're in my cup holder. Now let's go. The question of the day is, are weird people attracted to weird places, or are weird things attracted to weird people, making the places those people live a little bit strange? I shall explain. When I say weird, I mean this in the lovingest way, as an umbrella term for anybody who is sensitive or in tune to the paranormal, the supernatural, magical energies, and things like that. You know who you are, and I'm with you. This has been in my head for weeks now, playing is it the chicken or the egg? Because weird shit's been happening in my house. Now, weird stuff has happened in almost every house that I have ever lived in. Almost everyone. I don't consider myself particularly talented in, or gifted in the realm of like the paranormal. I have had experiences with otherworldly entities. I've seen things and I've heard things, like stuff's happened. I have lots of little stories, but nothing nearly as intense or frequent as a lot of people experience. I would never call myself like a psychic or a medium. Not at this point. I keep going back and forth on this in my thinking. As I look back at my life and all the many, many places that I've lived, I used to always think it was the house. It was the place. Because I didn't think that I had any special gifts. I said, oh man, I must be so lucky. I keep landing in all these haunted places. This is so cool. I never thought that like it was me. I just figured, well, people die everywhere. There must just be spirits everywhere. And I'm just stumbling into them. Until a couple years ago, when I moved to Hawaii, and all of a sudden, like I said, hold on, there's a tractor in the road. All of a sudden, everything stopped. Like everything shut down. And I didn't see or hear or feel diddly squat for years. Now, at the time, my personal life was a shit show. It was an absolute train wreck for years solid. And I was under an incredible amount of stress. And that doesn't help anything. But at that point, I started thinking, oh shit, maybe it is me. You know, maybe I have shut myself down because of circumstances. Until I had an experience in Hawaii that led me to believe that the place itself did not want me there. Like the spirits of the land were not welcoming me. That's kind of a longer story I might get into another time. But it flipped my thinking again, and I was like, oh, maybe it's the place, you know? About a year ago, we moved back here. This is Virginia. This is the eastern coast of the USA. I actually grew up not too far from here, in a different state, but I'm familiar with the area, so it was almost like a homecoming sort of feeling. And now that I'm back here, I'm just as confused. I have no idea what's going on. I may have moved to an extremely magical place, or I may be feeling the best that I have ever felt in my life. And either way, weird stuff's happening in my house on a level that I have never known before. Like, I used to, on rare occasion, catch a glimpse of something that might have been movement, or hear a little murmur of something that may or may have not have been my tinnitus acting up. Like, it was always easy enough to be skeptical, and I would write it down but kind of mentally discount it. I'm just seeing stuff all the damn time now. I thought they were bugs at first. There's a lot of bugs out here. I would see things like little flashes of light. They're like little sparkles or little flashes of light. And I was like, oh, those are lightning bugs. Or at twilight, you know, when the sun's going down, maybe that's the sun shining off of a beetle or some other hard-bodied insect. They're all flying around in the air, you know? But I see them in my house too, sometimes. Not as frequently, but I see them in my house, and they're just there and they're gone, and I don't know what they are. I'm also seeing shadows moving around, not like full-bodied shadow figures like a lot of people encounter. Like, they don't look humanoid, but I'll, again, out of the corner of my eye, or as I'm walking in or out of a room, I'll very quickly see something that's just like a blur of a shadow moving. But I definitely saw something there. Like, it's not my imagination. It's not a trick of the light. Like, something fucking moved. And I'm seeing that a lot. Ooh, a buzzard. Hold on. No, my friend. Out of the road. Thank you. You're very handsome. Bye. I love them so much. I love the buzzards. A lot of people don't. I don't know why. I love the buzzards. The most unsettling thing so far is kind of hard to explain. I'll see things that are like people that turn into things. I know that sounds ridiculous. So I'll be like out in the yard working. I'll be weeding or something, and I will get this really intense feeling like I'm being watched. And when I bring my head up to look in that direction, there is always something there. There's a physical object there. There's like a tree or a fence post or the corner of the house or whatever, right? There's something literally there. But for the split second, like literally a fraction of a second, as I'm bringing my head up to look in that direction, I swear I can almost see like a humanoid figure. And like the first time it happened, I was like, oh man, you're jumpy today. You know, it must be a trick of the light or something, but it keeps happening. And it's really, it's not off-putting, it's unsettling. It's, I don't know what that is, you know? Am I going crazy? Or are there like gnomes in my yard? On the audio end of things, I'm still not having like full conversations with people. I never have, but I will hear words every now and again, and instead of a mumble, they are much clearer. Like it's definitely a word because they yell it in my freaking ear. It's frustrating because I can never fit it into a sentence. And I have had extremely vivid dreams here as well. I used to really never have dreams that I remember unless they were nightmares. Here, all of a sudden, like I can tell the difference between a regular dream and a message. If I get up in the morning and I analyze what I have dreamt, if I say, oh, well, I was watching this movie, I was talking to somebody about this, and I was stressed out about this, and those elements kind of mushed together in my brain, and my brain vomited up this dream, okay, that makes sense, that's just a dream. But if I can't figure out where certain things come from, especially if there is like a recognizable symbolism behind them, that was a message. I'll also remember those much, much better than the other dreams. And I'm having these, again, like, geez, at least once a week. Much, much more often than I have ever dreamt anything before. It's pretty wild. The really fun part is the past couple weeks, things have been moving around my domicile. And that used to be a very, very rare occurrence. But it's happened twice in the past, about 2-3 weeks now. So that's neat. It's not like things are flying around my kitchen ceiling and chairs are stacking themselves up poltergeist style. Like nothing that crazy has happened, but small objects are picking up and putting down. When things move around my house, I kind of have to take it with a grain of salt because I do have a cat. He gets into shit. So 90% of the time, if, like the other day, I came out of my room in the morning and there was a washcloth on the ground, and it's a washcloth that I keep in a cabinet in the kitchen, and he wouldn't normally have access to that. However, if like my husband left the cabinet door ajar, I have seen him wriggle his little claws up into doorways and push even bigger doors open. So if there was a crack, he might have messed with it and decided that was a toy and then left it in front of my door. That's probably what happened. But I have a need to change lanes real quick, which is a death-defying experience in Virginia. Yay! Not today. In the corner of my bedroom, I have a large cat carrier and I have a small cat carrier stacked on top of each other. I'm trying to find someone to give them to because one's too big and one's too small. And on top of the small one, I have an extra carrying strap for it just sitting on top. No, it's a soft-bodied carrier, so it makes kind of a cup at the top, right? It's not curved or anything. Like it's been sitting there for weeks. Nothing has touched it, nothing has moved it. It's just there. We were trying to go to sleep like 2 weeks ago, and we both heard two loud and distinct thump noises. And I was like, please go check the door, because I thought it was an animal outside. Like, we have large animals in the neighborhood. I thought it was an animal outside. I was like, please, go fucking check on that, right? He gets up, turns the light on, and the carrying strap that was on top of the soft carrier is now on the ground 2 feet in front of that corner. And he said, oh, well, it must have slid off. It's nothing. I said, good sir. First off, something went thunk, thunk. Okay? If it had slid off, first of all, I don't know how it would have slid off, but if it had, you would have heard like a shh sound. Because it would have had to slide over the fabric of the carrier. And then it would be right in front of it. But no. Something was like, wake up, motherfuckers. And dropped it 2 feet away. He said, no, it can't be. Go to sleep. My husband is hilarious because he absolutely believes in spirits, but refuses to acknowledge that they're in his house. And he'll tell me all the time, if I ever see a ghost in here, we're fucking moving. There's no question. Like the next day, like we'll run to a hotel for the night, like we're not fucking staying here. And I'm like, I don't know how to tell you this, bud, but you know, my sweet summer child. Anyway, a couple of days ago, I was in the kitchen. I was making dinner. I was messing around with the spices. And to get to my spices, they're inside of a cabinet. And there's 2 rows of jars. One in the front is just on the bottom of the cabinet. The one in the back, I made it a little riser. It's just a board. But I made them a little riser, so they're a little bit elevated and I can see what's going on in there. I put everything back, nothing was out of place. They're all just sitting there. Nothing's touching them. There's nothing on the back wall of the kitchen, like nothing is affecting the spice drawer. I walk over to the sink and I hear a tumbling, the tumbling of glass. And I immediately yell to my husband over on the couch. I'm like, I'm standing at the sink. And he kind of gets up and he raises an eyebrow and we go open the cabinet together, and one of the spices from the back wall has fallen forward and knocked over like 3 of the spice jars in the front row. So there's a spicy mess everywhere. And he says, it's not a ghost. It happens all the time. I was like, excuse you? It happens all the time? And you ain't told me? I don't know what they want in there. I don't know. I thought maybe they're hungry? Or I was using the wrong spice? I don't know. But fun little things like that are going on. But back to the original point. Apart from me being tired all the time, because my schedule is still really wonky, this has actually been the happiest year of my life. I have never felt this settled and at ease. There have been some hiccups here and there, but overall, I'm just like really grateful and loving life all the time right now. And I've heard that when you're feeling nice and balanced like that, you kind of naturally open up and you can either develop or, I guess, access abilities easier. So, am I pulling entities towards me? Am I attracting the woo because they know or they hope that I can see and hear them, and like now they have someone to talk to or play with? Is everything coming to me? Or is this just a freaking weird place? We didn't buy our house for any mystical purposes. Not intentionally, anyway. Not that we're aware of. When we went house shopping, we ticked off all the normal house buying criteria. We don't want to be in the city. We want a little bit of backyard. We need enough bedrooms. You know, we want no crime, good schools, good water quality, all that, you know, the usual stuff. And we found this place. And it's not like our dream house or anything, but we were both kind of sick of looking. And we were like, you know what, that fits. Let's do it. So we did. What I found out some months after buying the property is that a long, long time ago, I mean like thousands of years ago, when the continents were still settling, the coastline of Virginia was much, much further inland than it is today. And that shoreline, I was looking at it on like a map, a recreated map, of course. That shoreline runs almost exactly along the back property line of our place. Like that shoreline was our backyard. And if you think about the coast, it's where the ocean meets the land, where they're constantly moving together. It's a very liminal place, this boundary line. Fast forward thousands of years, the ocean recedes, right? The coast is at its normal position that it's in today. And I don't know how it all happened geologically. I looked it up once and I forget, but something minerals, that water leaving left a big basin, and that basin today is an absolutely massive swamp that also butts up to my property on the back side, right where the coast used to be. Our backyard ends and the swamp begins. Now, looking at a swamp, this is again a place where you have land meeting or mixing with water. We're doing it vertically now instead of horizontally, but it's land and water coming together again. So it's almost like we live on some kind of elemental crossroads. It's really cool to think about that, like, of course there's freaking weird stuff going on here. I don't know how weird. I don't know, like, the levels of what that affects, but there's definitely something special about this area, like, on its own. I'd be really, really interested in hearing from y'all. Does anybody find that the oddities in life follow you? Like, do you, like, I've heard that a lot of people, if they can converse with spirits will just appear to them everywhere because they know there's someone there who can interact with them. But expanding this a little bit, I'm talking weird stuff in general. Like, I don't know. Do you see UFOs everywhere? Have you found a cryptid in every state you've lived in? Like, do you experience, like, time jumps? Like, just strangeness, right? High strangeness. Does it follow you? Or do you feel like you are pulled to places with their own oddball energy? Like, if you're just driving around town one day, is there something inexplicable that tells you, oh, hey, turn left, and then maybe you find, I don't know, an ancient sacred well? you know what I mean? Ooh, geese. I love them so much. Geese. Bonus question. A little bit of a tangent, but related. Does anybody live in a place with a weird name? And if you do, have you experienced weird things there? when I was a kid, I found a book in the library, and I can't for my life remember what it was called or who wrote it, but it was like a collection of strange facts from around the country. And it talked about, UFOs and hauntings and fish falls and all kinds of cool stuff. But I remember, like very distinctly remember, the author said that in towns and cities with strange or mystical names, there will be a higher instance of these things happening. Their example was like cities with names that incorporate the Fae somehow, like Lafayette and Fayetteville. Those places supposedly have more hauntings, more UFO flaps, more cryptid sightings, more space-time portals behind your refrigerator. I don't know. Strangeness. This came into my head the other day because I was thinking about, the place versus the person, the chicken and the egg kind of issue. And I went Googling, as you do, and I cannot find any information about this. I was searching for like hours, and I can't find anything, any articles or facts or anything that suggests that this is an actual real thing. I think it might have been the author's personal anecdote, but it would be really cool if we could collect that kind of data together and see if there is a pattern, purely for curiosity's sake. Does anyone live in, like, Erie, New York? And do you think there are eerie things going on there? Right? I don't know. Because I remember looking up, like, places with weird names, and I wasn't even finding a lot of that. I found, like, there's a bump-ass Virginia. But I think one of the flyover states has a city named, like, Oddsville, but that's not, Oddsville, right? I actually live not too far away from a street called Strange Way, but I've driven past it, and I think that's a private drive, so I'm not about to go trespassing on somebody's driveway to see if they're, like, fae down there, you know? I'm not trying to break the law for, like, a wild hair theory. But hey, if y'all have stories, share them with me, because I'm, like, terribly curious now. It is now raining, but also somehow sunny enough that I still need my sunglasses. And it's done. Okay, I am almost where I need to be, and so I must bid you adieu. But let me know if you like this style of video, I guess. This has been really convenient for me, because I talk to myself in the car anyway, and most of the time, it's stuff like this. It's crackpot theories and weirdness. But if you like listening to that, just drop me a little comment, and I'll keep doing it, because this is, I just haven't had time to actually prepare quality content lately. But at least, you can listen along, even if there's nothing interesting to look at. Anyway, I love you all very much. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you another day. Goodbye.